Hey, how you doing, everybody? Hello, hello, hello. We want to welcome you to the Tarot Flow Show, where synchronicity is the star, all those wonderful coincidences that happen, and where I am your host. My name is Alison Pickering. Check us out at AlisonPickering.com for classes and community and meetups and travel experiences. We're going to have so much fun starting summer 2022. Welcoming to the Tarot Flow Show stage is my co-host, the wonderful Scandinavian savant from Stockholm, a student of all things fabulous and spiritual. This is my friend. I haven't yet met him in the flesh. I'm going to see him at the end of the month. Finally, after all these years of COVID lockdown and virtual friendship, is my friend Kefri Skarabus. And let's bring in Kefri to the stage. Hey.
Hi, Alison. Nice
How
to
you
be here
doing?
as usual. I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you. So it is what, like 2, 3 in the morning? What time is it there now?
It's 1:40.
1:40 in the morning. So I thank goodness you're a night owl. So am I. And we have another guest. By the way, our other co-host, Mike Bonner, is off on assignment doing the hairstyles for the rock stars, is our man Mike. But we have somebody special here today. We crossed paths quite a few times without really knowing it, as we grew up in similar neighborhoods and had similar friends at different points in life, and have a friend who's kept us all in contact now, Brigitte. She's probably watching this. Hi, Brigitte. She's the glue that's kind of kept us all together. And through her and through Brigitte and Simon's wonderful work has the Hollywood High School gang kind of kept in contact with one another, and we really appreciate all of that diligence. But I've learned since getting ready for this show that Simon has a background as a contractor and as a builder, so bringing things from the zero into the built, which is kind of what a lot of the tarot is about. And then he has become a CPA, and now he's a CPA in such a wonderful budding industry in California. It's a fabulous thing, is the cannabis industry in California, and he is right there with it, advising people to make the best and most of this legal business. And then we also have his latest incarnations, and I had a chance to see his beautiful, beautiful paintings full of light and shadow and charm and tints of gorgeous, unexpected colors. And they're so beautiful, and they're small scale and they're large scale, and they're just fabulous. I was so impressed. And then I learned that he is a novelist and has published a couple of novels. And so I'm so thrilled to get reacquainted and to bring to our Tarot Flow show the fabulous Simon Menkes. Simon!
Hi, guys.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing? Tell us what's going on, what's new in life, and how's life in the Studio City area, I believe, in California, right?
It's great. As long as it doesn't get too hot, we're good.
Good. Good. Let me open up the angle here because I want to show your beautiful paintings behind you. And so let me put you in focus here because there's a couple of really nice ones behind you. Do you want to talk a little bit about those, Simon?
Okay. Yeah, I painted the one, let's see, to this side. I painted this at the beginning of the pandemic, and it's our building where we live. And right in the corner is my wife, Marguerite. She features in a lot of my paintings, but usually in a little bit. I love this painting because of its color, and I try and put a lot of joy into my paintings and a little bit of whimsy. Some of the colors aren't what you'd expect in life, and some are. And this one right here actually is from a photo my wife took when she was in the tub. I was out riding, bicycling, and she sent it, and I went, that's a cool photo. This was her in the tub, and I don't know, just a little bit of quirkiness.
I meant to put you and those beautiful pictures in the picture, but I'm just flailing right now, Simon. Let's come on back to your beautiful images there. Thank you so much. Do you know who they remind me of? Do you know the painter Nicholas Roerich?
I don't.
So Roerich, and he was like in the Gurdjieff and Ouspensky spiritual school up in the Himalayas and in Russia and things like that. But I will send you a link and things, but the colors especially really are reminiscent, and especially the way you use shadow. And I so admire his paintings, and that's really what I see in yours as well, that are just beautiful. So hats off to you for all of your professions across the board.
I
Tell us
know,
about
it's
your
like a
novel.
master of none, right? Is that
It doesn't, no, you know what? It's always looking up, and it's always striving to do something new and challenging. It's expressing yourself. It's
yeah.
bringing out that which is within you, and that's a beautiful thing. Tell us about your novels real quick before we jump into this.
So there is the first one is hard to explain, so I'll just jump to the second one, which is a time travel novel. It's a romance, and it's about a guy who has to go back in time to save his wife. And it has a corollary, because when I wrote it, I was married to a woman who became very ill. And so I had a passion to save her. And so I wrote this novel to try and find a way to save her. And so, I mean, I know it's a little, there's a little pathos, but that's really what it was. And it was a prayer.
Pathos, what life is about?
There is pathos.
As in pathos, as in compassion? Absolutely.
Yeah, compassion.
Yeah.
The second one is more fun. It's about the cannabis industry. It takes place, and it's about a young guy who is an accountant in Georgia who inherits 20% ownership in a cannabis dispensary in Los Angeles. So, he has no idea what he's in for, and it's a crazy business. And he flies out thinking he's just going to sell his share and take the money home, and he gets immersed in this wacky business with the wacky people.
Are you selling this as a series? It must, or a great movie.
Series.
A movie or a series. I hope you have an agent, Simon. This is brilliant. And we shouldn't put this up because someone's going to take that idea because it's so smart. Exactly. Anyway, but that's the way, and if you don't do it, somebody else is going to come up with it, because it's that critical mass thing. We're all just drawing it down from somewhere, I think.
Yeah.
So let's get into what we're doing today. And I thank you so much for talking about yourself and letting us know more about you, because that is what we're here to do. And now we're going to kind of do that on the level of looking at the cards and just seeing what they bring to the equation. And so we're going to have the opportunity right now to look at very quickly, the images that are a part of the 22 major arcana. And these 22 majors are basically depicting the journey of this unmanifest spirit as he goes through the adventures of the next lifetime kind of thing. And anything that I say, because we're blazing through this, is going to be a massive oversimplification. And it will also be real. And so understanding that, like you were mentioning before, Simon, that this is a very deep process. The more you dig, the more you scratch, the more you find. And so there's a lot to be seen here. We're going to find a lot, and we won't even be scratching that deep today, but we're going to see a lot. And so this fool is going into his incarnation. He's going to learn a bunch of lessons across the top here. Let's go ahead and see what we can see. And let's say that the top row, again, massively oversimplified, but this is the internal resources and home life as a child, so to speak. Internal masculine and feminine polarity. Maybe a mother and father both at home, or those two roles fulfilled. The role of teachers and schooling and the social mores, however those are inculcated into you. And then you start relating to other people and making choices on your own as you start getting to the age of reason and the age of independence, making decisions of your own, maybe even driving a car of your own with that chariot or something. But that's the idea of going beyond the home, going beyond the familiar. And then you go into the lessons of adulthood in this middle row. So you're going to have to handle your sexual instincts, your violent instincts, all the things that get provoked when now nobody's controlling you but you. And then how do you handle solitude? And how do you handle the fates of life? And how do you handle law? And how do you handle your own attitude towards all that stuff? And then how do you handle the big stuff that comes through that you cannot resist, like that big death horse, white skeletal knight coming through with a black flag there? You're going to have to find balance. You're going to have to recover. You're going to have to figure out your own pathway in that. And that then takes us down to these kind of states of consciousness. You could be really, really materialistic with that devil card and be very hung up on it. But we all have to like pay the bills, make a living, figure out how to get fed, you know, all those things that chain us to our bodies, so to speak. And our bodies are chained too. And we have, you know, pay the rent, have a job, contracts, things like that. But that's not all that there is. And if you think it is, then something's going to come in and kind of knock off that crown, or you flip your lid, whatever you want to say. And then you're left kind of naked unto yourself with just your, who are you after all, the star. And then there's emotions with the moon. It's not so well lit, but you got to go through it. And then there is liberation and the regaining of an innocence. And then this new beginning with a new judgment. And then the ending, which is a new beginning, which now is double wands. The magician had the one at the beginning, and now this one has two at the end. They are all the fool. They are all you and me and everybody. These are archetypes. They're not people. These are our little puny attempts as humans to depict these larger realities of archetypes. Mm-hmm. You get the idea? So with all of that preamble, Mr. Simon, which of these cards might you like to choose for us to like get a close-up on and unpack? This isn't the reading. This is just looking at a card. Any of these appeal to you?
The one that called me, which I was surprised because, you know, my intellectual mind is like, well, I should choose the world because that's the, you know, whatever, right? That's the one that's the end result, or yada, yada. I like the guy that's, or the gal that's petting the lion.
Let's do it. We can look at them both. Let's start with the strength, and then we'll go to the
no,
world.
I think the world is my ego card. It's like where I should be. But my heart is the lion, and is the person petting the lion. So I'm going to just stay with that one.
Let's do it. All right. So, Keffer, you're going to need to share that screen when you have it prepared.
Yeah, sorry. We should see. Should share it. There we are.
It looks like fun. Look at that. The lion, he loves it. He's purring.
Exactly. You know, I had a job for 1.5 minutes on this thing called Circus of the Stars. And my responsibility was to kind of liaise these stars with the circus performers who were going to teach them how to do this thing for this show. And we went to the lion tamers trailer because they live in trailers because it's a traveling circus. It's wild. This was Circus Vargas. And this guy, big, strong guy, he was covered with scars. I mean, he had scars all over his body.
A little concerning.
Well, it's a process to train those lions, apparently.
Or to train him to train the lions.
That's funny. So you can see the harmony and cooperation between them. So you keyed in immediately on the keynote of this card, which is that fluency, shall we say, the fluidity and fluency of the interaction between the human, and that fluidity represented by that infinity sign, that lemniscate on the head, that easy communication between the virtue and the passions, between the human and the animal, between the rational and the instinctive, etc., but not idealizing the rational, let's say the spiritual and the instinctive, or something along those lines, because the rationality, as we see in the swords, we'll see in the swords coming up, the rationality is very unbalanced when left only to itself. So here's our strength card. So we saw all of that. She's got these roses around her waist and around her head as a kind of victory. Lots and lots of yellow, yellow, yellow. The yellow is very significant in the Kabbalah, in the Tree of Life, and we'll look at that image in a little bit. We've been talking colors and chroma, so we'll have a chance to look at that in this Flower of Life diagram. And then we'll also have a chance to see more of what we're seeing in this strength card. You can also see her white garment. That's an indication of the purity of her intent. And is she opening the lion's mouth, closing it? It doesn't really matter because he's purring, like you say. There's this idea that it has been mastered. The tail is down. It's not alarmed. And in fact, maybe it's even dominated. But it's all in a very lush and beautiful place. This strength card, strength is number 8. And it's in it's the idea of Leo, the lion. The sun is a card in here as well. Let's hear, Kefri, what might we also think about when we look at the strength card, please?
It is Leo, as you said, and the lion is actually the sun. That's the secret of the card. So this is about taming the light, actually, and be able to work in unison with the light of the world, actually. That's the strength in this card, that this person is getting this huge power of light to purr, actually, and to confirm, to go her way, so to speak. And that is the sun energy also, and it can be too much of it also. And here it is a balance between them, and the white color is of course also a reference to the divine forces. So this can also be a sort of a balance between the divine mind and the sun, so to speak, or if you want to go to the son of Jesus and the father, you can also see that dichotomy in this card, actually, if you go deeper.
You could also say that I and the Father are one, and that could be represented in this card too. It depends on your spiritual bent. All of these phrases and things are
also be
but words.
And the interesting thing is also this card is connected to a Hebrew letter, and that letter is Tet, and the symbol for Tet is a snake, and there you have the biblical scripture history again with the snake and the Garden of Eden and everything. So
there's also the idea of the strength. This card in the Crowley deck is called Lust.
Yeah.
And there's the idea of raising the Kundalini with the snake as well. So there's all kinds of stuff that you could be thinking about in this card here. And the strength is certainly the card of sexual passion.
Yeah, and the lion has his tail between his legs, actually. That is also something we can ponder why that means.
Well, this is delightful. I will say that golden white color that's kind of at the center of the card is the kind of color that I see kind of flowing through your art, and I really respond to it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's why I looked at it and was like drawn to it.
Yeah, and you can also see that the color of the lion and the white gown is mixed, actually, and you see that in the sky behind. So
nice. Well, you mix your colors, so you can probably imagine these processes happening now.
Oh yeah, I do that actually.
Lovely. Yeah. So there you go. Did you want to look at the world card as well?
No, that's okay.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into a reading, and we'll take a quick look at the minor arcana. And so we've had our Fool, our 0 card here, and then the other 21 of the majors. So that makes 22. And then there's another 56, which is divided into the 4 suits. These are the ancestors of the playing cards, the clubs, the next one, the hearts, the next one, the spades, the next one, the diamonds. But in the elements here we're talking about is fire, the wands, water, the cups, air, the swords, and then earth with the pentacles. What is that 5-pointed star? Why is there a pentagram on the pentacle? That's because we deal with the earth, which is the suit of the pentacles, is the earth sign, earth suit, with our 5 senses. We need our touch and our sight and our smell and our hearing and all those things. And so that's the representation with that 5 is the 5 senses with which we have to handle this physical world. And then also the other part of the physical world is that things take time to play out. And so you can see that that horse in the Knight of Pentacles is very slow. In fact, he has to pause to let the crops grow. He has to guard the crops so that the seeds stay in the ground, etc. And so that people can eat. Because one of the things about the Pentacles is that we have to handle dealing with the material plane. We got to be able to handle, earning our daily bread, so to speak. So this is getting a little religious, but it just happens to be flowing. Simon, I try to get out of the way and the words just happen. So you're getting the chatty Cathy today. So those are our suits. A real quick glimpse of the wands here, the spark, your ambitions, intuition, spark, projects, creativity. Lots of fire in those court cards. The cups, our feelings, our emotions, our intuition. 5 times a day gratitude. Time to be grateful. I thank you for being here. Thank you for experiencing this with us, Simon. And there's our watery symbols in the court cards. And then we have a swords suit, the suit of air. This is where we were talking about that rationality. Rationality is good, but if it's uninformed by the rest of it, it can be very, very cold. Of course, you need a cold strategy if you have to proceed. If you got to have a surgery, you want someone who's pretty cool under pressure. You want someone in a crisis who's not going to lose their head, who's going to follow the steps and keep everyone safe, all that kind of stuff. So it's not to be underestimated, this suit, but it's also very powerful because our ideas and words and thoughts can really hurt, and we can really hurt ourselves with them. The earth suit is slower, it's warmer, it's got all that yellow, that beautiful white yellow that we've been talking about. That golden color is all over this suit, of course. And then you have the progressions of, let's say, businesses and families and wealth and things like that. And look at all the symbols of the earth in those court cards. So as we get into our reading with Simon, we're going to take a look and see what the meanings are of each of the places where we put the cards. So the top middle card that we have is going to be whatever it is that we're looking at. And Simon, you can figure out if we're going to try and direct this or just let it happen or what. Let us know in a moment. And then on the bottom is a kind of timeline. We're depicting something that either happened recently, is going on now, and is projecting into the future, or it's something big in your life that we're looking at a snapshot or a vignette of to look at its trajectory. With some advice on the top, you may default to a particular way of dealing with something, but that might or might not be a good idea. What should you be cautious about? On the other hand, there's another direction that's going to be for your greater growth, some recommendation there. And then at the end of the reading, we'll figure out some kind of a perspective card, something to give us some additional things to reflect on. So as we think about this and about the reading, is there anything that you would like to add or to ask at this point, Simon?
No, I'm good. Excited. Okay.
And is there any kind of way that you want to direct the reading or ask for it to be about or anything like that?
I'm looking for clarity moving forward, business-wise.
Okay.
So I'll just leave it at that.
Sounds like a plan. So what I'm going to do right now then is I'm going to go ahead and shuffle the cards. And as I do that, I'll be thinking about what's going on with you, Simon. And then at some point, you'll tell me to stop shuffling. And we will spread them out like I've done just now. And then if you were here with me, you'd be the one picking the cards, probably even shuffling the cards too. But since we're doing this virtually, as we have been doing since 1995, it does work over the airwaves amazingly, shockingly, or not shockingly, because it's pretty wild, So here we go. And I'm going to just go ahead and shuffle. Feel free to let me know when you'd like me to stop.
Okay. Okay.
I'm going to cut. I'm happy to cut them. I'm also going to spread them out. Would you like me to cut them?
Yes.
Okay. How many times?
5.
5
Went over
stacks or 5 times
5
over?
times. And that's because when I was little, 5 was my favorite number.
Okay. And I do this sneaky thing, so I can see all the cards because this back design is kind of tricky on my eyes. But I like the size of the cards. And then I do this little touchy thing because that's my thing. No, it helps me see them all and whatever it helps me do. Everybody has their little ritual, you know.
You're blessing each card.
Yeah, making some kind of contact, locating it somehow, I suppose. However this process works, we just don't know. All right, so let's pick a card for Simon's issue, his business question. Where are things going for Simon? There we go. Knight of Cups, a lovely sign of mission and quest. Let's look at this timeline. What's happened first? First. Had to make some money. Then what? The Emperor. And then what? 3 of Cups. 3 times the charm. Advice. This is a Viced Void. 8 of Pentacles. Again, that 8 we picked is an 8 card. That 8, the Strength card, is an 8 card. So this is that idea of that level of strength played out in the suit of Pentacles, in this material. So strength in the material realm kind of thing. Strength of mastery in the physical.
Right.
And then, but that's the to avoid, interestingly enough. So let's see what the recommendation is. What's Simon's supportive recommendation?
Sorry.
And that is the Page of Swords.
No, the Page of Swords. Sorry. There.
Thank you. Let's put up that Knight of Cups. Clearly, we're talking about your sense of purpose and vocation. Whichever one is next. What has been the common thread through all these things? I think there's been something about clarity of structure, bringing something from the zero into the reality, demonstrating to the world your internal sense of aesthetic as well as balance. And whatever is in your heart that you haven't yet had the chance to express yet should be the guiding force, because it's not about money. Or at least it shouldn't be. Should being a strong word. Far be it from me to say that it shouldn't be a money maker. That's not what I said. The driver.
Right.
Okay.
Just don't do something for money.
The
Just and
driver should be about purpose. Whatever is at
right.
the center of this thing should be about the fulfillment that it gives you, not the pocket, not the growth of the trajectory of the exponential of the whatever. The mathematical entertainment is not as important as the emotional satisfaction.
That feels right.
Okay. Because you know how to multiply numbers. And if you knew how to multiply numbers like that, you'd be in the oil industry or something, but you're not.
True.
There you go. So I don't know. And I'm not to say that you are, I'm not only a hair club customer, I'm the owner or whatever it is.
Wait a minute. What?
No.
Guys.
I'm also, no.
You...
I was just making reference to that silly commercial where he said, it's basically that he's also a customer,
I think what we're talking about is the fact that when you knew me earlier in my life, I had way more hair.
Simon, to be honest with you, I've only known you through Brigitte and these later things. It's been a much more later in life experience. And so you've been adorable and charming throughout.
Okay, we'll leave the hair out of it.
So all that was a bad joke about a bad commercial, but all that is to say, and it was yet another joke on the silly cannabis industry and about partaking and all that kind of crazy stuff. And so, but you know how to multiply numbers. You know how to make it all happen. You're the emperor, all that kind of good stuff. So if it's about making the money, you could probably figure out something that's going to do really well, but that's not really what gets you going. It's what gets you going, or at least what gets you going at this point, is something that's much more heart driven. And so that's an important thing to consider, because as we look at this timeline trajectory, let's look at the timeline with this 9, and we'll notice that there's a 9 and an 8. Both in pentacles, both kind of stacked on top of each other. And the 9 is further along than the 8. So shall we say that in this 9, this is showing that you have already achieved a culmination and a level of comfort and a level of homestead and apologies for the delay, but just the idea that you don't have to worry is an important thing. So that you have the capacity to do that for yourself is without a doubt. There is no doubt. If you need more, you can make it. You understand that it's a garden, and you understand how to work that. You understand that process. That's it's under your hand at this point. You notice that she has her hand on the pentacle. That's hers. She understands this, and the grapes. So she's got the grapes, and both of those are the fruit. So you can bring things to fruition.
Okay. And
now you're trying to structure with this emperor figure here. Now you're trying to figure out and make a decision, and we can take a look at that emperor. We can look then look at all this red for days in here. Red and black. You're so comfortable in the role of the business person, and that's good because you're so competent. You're a little defensive. Notice the armor around the businessness of what it's like you have to defend yourself to yourself. And I don't think you should have to defend yourself to yourself. If you want to do something, let yourself do it. You don't have to say, but it must make money, or it must, pencil out at X percentage of return, or I don't know the language, but I think that there's a certain criteria that you're establishing which might be a little too demanding of yourself. So that's what I'm seeing in this card. That's a weird, and a part of that is this mix of the red and the black. The red is Mars, the black is Saturn. Saturn is restriction, and so I wonder. And there's looks like Africa on the shoulder. I don't know if you want to do some travel or something like that, but I get the idea that you might be limiting yourself because of your business savvy and because of the advice you would have given someone else. So as someone else's accountant, you would have said, don't do this thing because you can't guarantee a return and you got to guarantee return and blah, 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 whatever. And what's your sign, Simon, if you don't mind my asking?
Virgo.
Virgo. So you are Mr. Detail, and you've got, it has to pencil out, and you've got to make sure that it's clean. And so there's a lot of Aries, the ram, on this throne, which is not a comfortable throne. It's a hard throne. He's up in the hard mountains. I think that you need a bit more cush about yourself, but let's see what these cards say. Anyway, your own criteria are quite stringent about what you would advise someone to do, but you don't have to follow those criteria because you are the emperor and you can decide what you want to do. So the advice, do as I say, not as I do. At this point, you can do whatever you want to do. So because the only advice that you're giving is to yourself, and you can see that from multiple viewpoints. So let's look at the next card, which is that 3 of Cups. So whatever you're doing next, make sure you enjoy it, for God's sake, because look at that Knight of Cups. Whatever it is, it should be fun. It should probably involve your wife, or at least have her so that it's a fun thing for her to participate in, or something along those lines. Something that, I don't know. It just seems like you should relax and enjoy life and not be quite so hardworking. And perhaps consider the idea that do what you love, the money will follow. Maybe a mamby-pamby woo-woo slogan, but it's time for you to test it because you've already done the more officially sanctioned way.
Yeah. It hasn't necessarily worked out as financially successful as I would have liked. And it hasn't gone with the heart.
Yet.
It's very cerebral, very much what I was thinking I needed to do in order to please people, get along in the world, be a mensch.
And all of those things are still with you. Those values are still with you. And in fact, they are your drivers, but you can broaden the definition. Okay. It can be your definition of a mensch, not other people's requirements of what they think a mensch is, which is just a bunch of extortion, to be honest. If they're laying it on you like a mensch would do this to get you to do something, that's not cool. And if that's your internal dialogue, then you have to find out what is the motive of whatever that voice is. So that touches a nerve there. That's good. And that's going to be, those are usually parental voices. They are, I was talking to somebody the other day, and we had a ton of emotion around this idea of who deserves to be happy. Deservingness was massive for her. And she was having to work hard to feel like she deserved to even be happy. And that was rough.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so you deserve to be happy. Let's just look at this card. So let's just make this your driver, 3 cups instead of the 1. 1 makes 3. And, or 3 and 1, why not? This thing has been super Christian, and you grew up Jewish, and I don't know what your leanings are now, but what occurs to me to say right now is whenever 2 or more are gathered in my name, there I am. And we have in other, readings of this card said that is the presence of the Christ energy in that red robe, which in fact is similar to the red robe that is on the emperor. So maybe you're going to take your business expertise and bring it into your next blessed adventure, which can be something fun and something frolicky and something joyful and about contribution rather than about getting.
Right. Okay.
And then looking at the advice above, I think it's pretty clear that you don't need to work too hard, nor should you drive yourself to strive for a mastery in something. At least don't do it publicly. Don't hang up your shingle quite yet.
What do you mean?
It's like this guy is pounding out his wares, and this
Right.
is the advice against. So,
So
and then
he's sort of getting into the drudgery of the pounding out of the wares. It doesn't look like a really creative process. He looks like he's just sort of working away.
Indeed. So that's saying avoid that if you can, please.
Okay.
That's usually welcome advice. And then let's see about the Page of Swords. The idea being that it doesn't have to be hard. It may be that we have an equation in our mind that it must be hard in order for it to be virtuous. It must be hard for us to be able to be justified in receiving those rewards for our labor. It must be hard for us to show loyalty to our parents who had to work so hard. It must be hard in order for us to be justifiable and lovable to others, because if I were taking it easy, would they ever love us if I'm not working my ass off? What if I'm not a provider? What happens then? All of those things can be examined in the quiet of your own mind and heart. No one else needs to know about this. This is your own business. This whole business is nobody's business but your own. Some of this stuff involves looking back into your past and saying, what the fuck was that? Excuse my language. But really, and what was I doing? And why am I doing this? And what am I really getting to gain? So, and when I say don't quite hang up your shingle yet, I'm saying, and when I say hang up, I mean start a business, not stop a business.
Uh-huh.
So I was saying that, and so this card is like a spy card. He's like a learner card. He's about gathering information first. And so what I'm gathering from this, shall we say, is that rather than jumping into actual production, like that Eight of Pentacles seems to imply, jumping right into your next endeavor in the physical with those pentacles and banging it out, rather you would be well spent to hang out in the planning phases.
Okay. All right. Because Allison, I've been frustrated because I'm like, I want it to come now. I want to have clarity now, and it's not coming. And I'm like, so what you're telling me is the cards are saying, wait and be patient.
It seems to be, and then we have another card coming, so we'll have a chance to look at that. You also want to hear Kefri's kind of interpretations, because
Right.
I'm playing this out as like, this isn't gospel. What this is how these cards might play out on the physical. So it's important to have a fuzzy boundary between a hard meaning.
Can I ask you 2 questions? What does the sword mean with Page of Swords? And my second question is, I'm represented by Knight of Cups. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Can you please just talk a little bit more about that? Or maybe I'm slow and I need you to repeat it.
So the Knight of Cups is representing you and this question, which is, what are you doing with your life kind of right now? Or what are you doing next? And so let's put up that Knight of Cups, Kefri. And so that's kind of giving you not a static representation, but it's kind of an establishing shot, shall we say, of this issue. So this is the issue of, what is it that you are riding forward to next do? What is your holy grail? What is the thing that's going to be the object of your quest?
Got it. Well, I love that.
So that's okay.
I love the idea of a quest.
Right. And so you are the one on the quest, but you are quite weighed down by your need to be an emperor. So you are, in fact, a knight on a mission, but you are weighed down by your identity as the king or as the emperor. So you need to be more mobile.
That's really deep.
I've never thought of it, but I was just looking at those cards up and down, that knight above and that emperor down below. It's like you are in your present time, you're in the role of emperor, but what you really want is to be on a quest. So your fixedness in the current moment is hard for you to then contact what it is that's going to be your next movement, because you're so kind of stationary. I
really get that.
And then it's going to help you to get some fluidity in this by perhaps even crossing some water, like this knight is about to do. And then the emperor has in his hand a globe, and then he also has this kind of Africa kind of map looking thing on his shoulder. Maybe there's some place that you want to go, that you want to like go get a fresh input.
Okay.
Something maybe with your wife or something. Just go do something fun, cut loose for a while without this need to know what you're doing, because you already have a job and a business and a history and a bank account and a house and a contractor. My gosh. It might be good to get away for a little while and just kind of chill and not put yourself on a timeline.
Okay.
Also, you got to allow yourself to change your mind if you want to. Let's look at that page again. So the knight is you on the quest, your larger question, and then this page is the advice card. So the advice card is an attitude question. So it's the page is the attitude or stance that you should take as you're thinking about this, as you move into this celebrated Three of Cups future.
And the sword?
The sword is your thinking. The sword is your tool. The sword is your communication. The sword might be your novel, your screenplay, your strategy, your next agent, your next plan, your next move. Whatever it is, play it close to the vest. Don't tell the world. Be private about it, because it's nobody's business but your own, like I said. Okay. No one needs to weigh in with their opinions about how valid or not this is, or how much this makes you a mensch or not, or whatever things that people feel entitled to say. You are your own man, and you are on a quest right now. And so the page is saying that you're at the beginning of it. You're not so if you remember the suits, we had the idea was the wands, the spark, and then we had the care, which is the cups, kind of, which is where you're at now. And you have to now think about what you care about.
Okay.
And you're not ready to go into production yet, because you don't know yet what you're going to produce, because it's still in the ideation phases.
Okay. All right.
That's the sword, is the ideation. The sword being thinking. So, and then this sword, this page being quite, being on a mission of, he's a scout. And so he has to be stealthy, and he has to be private. And so my advice or the card's advice in this is for you to allow yourself the space and time to explore this on your own without having to announce yourself to anyone.
Okay.
I'm going to go off camera for a moment. I'm going to let Kefri say what he has to say with this, if that's okay with you, Simon.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alison. I am looking at it a bit. I see both your work here, Simon, and also your artistic, creative work also. And this night, Alison has been talking about him, and he is very determined, actually. He is very determined to be the messenger he feels he should be, actually. And he is prepared to ride over water and over mountain, and you can see it in the card, and the horse is actually ready to take the ride, so to speak. The horse is not against it, and the horse here is your feminine energy, your inner feminine energy that also can have to do with your art, actually. So there could be that there is importance here that there should be a balance with your working life and your creative life. So they go hand in hand, so to speak, because then at that moment they are in harmony, and you are also in harmony in this combination then. And this is a Graal night, actually, of the Holy Grail. And this cup is a magical cup, and it means so much. And you have something in what you want to give to the world that is connected to this, and also is connected to spirituality, I believe. And this card is also this knight is also Hermes or Mercury, and he is a messenger. He always flies because he has wings, as you can see in this. So this is about communication, actually, also, that communication is the source for you to reach out with your, let us say, spiritual messengers, actually.
Okay.
So that is also in here. And going down here to the Nine of Pentacles, this is about foundation, and you have succeeded in building a foundation. Alison has already identified this, but in this card there is also an hawk that is waiting to be able to fly, actually. So there could be something that you haven't completed yet in your foundation that you have been building for yourself, actually. And that could also be a question to you to ponder that. What is it I want to do, but I have not been able to do yet? And the Emperor here is your completeness, actually, that you are sitting on this throne and you are managing things very well, actually. And there is also a symbol for this card, and that is a window to a higher world, actually. So you can look at a higher world through that window and see principles and theories and so on. And that could also be, again, connected to your creative mind and your artistic mind, and what is mirrored there, so to speak, is also mirrored in your working life and your mission there, so to speak. They go hand in hand. I've already said it before. And when you succeed in marrying those two parts of yourself, there is a festival, so to speak, that everything can be raised to the sky, actually. And here we have not just one holy grail, we have three holy grails. So it is like sharing what you have been accomplishing, actually. I read into this card also. And balancing those two sides of yourself will actually make it possible for you to share in several fields, I would say. And this card that is a bit tricky, as it isn't, it is in the cautionary position, so to say. I read it like there is no need to find new products, actually. There is a need to develop what you have and perhaps diversify out from there. So you don't have to work and find something new all the time. That's not necessary, actually. It's also that you can be in what you have, actually, and develop that.
Okay.
And the page here, Alison has been into that also, and you have asked what this sword is also. This is a sword of wisdom also. This is the wisdom that you can gain from feeling when it is right to act, actually. And for this thing that you was wondering here, it isn't right time to act yet, because you need more wisdom in this, actually, before you can go into action. And you have a sort of an worldly intuition, I would say. You can smell when it is right or wrong, actually, and you should use that sense, actually, because you can smell it in the wind, so to speak, because you can see in this card that he is standing in a wind because his hair is blowing here. And he can feel the wind and feel that, no, it's not right now, I wait a bit. And this is also the patient thing that Alison was talking about, because the next card here in the suite is the Knight of Swords, and he is really acting, and I will show that to you as an illustration here. The Knight of Swords, he is really on it, so to speak, and this is the action when you set plans into motion, and you don't have all the parts yet, so you shouldn't go to this stage yet.
Okay.
You should wait and feel what you feel is right. And there is also a sort of a test here of patience also, to keep patient, even if you feel that, oh, no, it's time now, it's time now, it's time. But you should feel it in all of yourself when it is the right time to act here, actually. And with that, I will also draw the 7th card here. You should see what that is. Yeah, it's the Queen of Swords, and it's the next card in this sword suite, actually. And that is about discipline, actually, and you can immediately see that the sword has now changed position, because it's straight up now, and that is pointing to the crown in the Tree of Life, actually, the Keter, the crown, where the divine energy is stored, actually, because this sword is pointing to another place in the Tree of Life that is about wisdom. But here you have the spiritual support also. And again, I connect that to the balance that you need to achieve between your working life and your creative artistic life, because they are mutual. They take and give from each other, actually. So when you run too fast with one, the other comes after. So you have to keep them in balance all the time, actually, because then you open up the channel to a higher mind and advice, so to speak, and you can get more intuition, more feeling when it is right to act. And I think I stopped there. Thank you.
Thank
Another
you.
aspect of this Queen, Simon, is the idea of trusting yourself.
Yeah.
Recognizing your own righteousness, your own internal capacity, your own having lived long enough to be able to think for yourself and decide for yourself. It may be that this is something that you want to do on your own for a while. This is a typical divorce card, but that's not suggesting divorce. It's just talking about your own kind of need to be sovereign in your own decision making for a little while in terms of your direction and your considerations and things like that. There's nothing that is disrespectful of the other person, but it's really about needing to do what you need to do right now and understanding what that is. And making that a happy thing, it can be a happy thing. So the idea being that your thinking process is entirely solid and trustworthy and reliable. But you don't really have to share it unless you want to. And
so is this like a little bit of separation? Like if we had a married couple that was not having problems, would this be suggesting keeping my own counsel a little bit more, a little bit of distance in certain areas, just self-reflection?
I would say yes. I would say that if you feel like that would allow you to be more independent in the way you think about things, then yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It may just mean a little time away to be on some kind of a vision quest. You talked about the quest thing appealing to you. Maybe you want to take a trip that's kind of a questy thing for you, and that's like, and your wife's like, yeah, okay, enjoy. Or maybe she would really like to, but you just really need to do it alone, and that's certainly understandable and should be okay. And if it's not okay, why is it not okay? That's another question, of course. Because ultimately, hopefully, we want everyone's happiness to be the consideration and the direction we move in. So when I say this is a divorce card, but you picked up on what it really is. It's the idea of the separation of the decision-making process and bringing it back to yourself.
Got it.
Yeah.
And observe also the cloud mantle here, because that is also imagination and being permitting yourself to be imaginative and not only responsible all the time. And that goes back to the hawk in the 9 of Pentacles here, that perhaps also find a way to let it fly and have fun with it, so to speak.
Take the little helmet off the falcon there,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Mhm.
and let it fly and come back.
Okay.
Because maybe you have been at the service of the lady, so to speak, and maybe you do need a little time to fly out on your own, do your own thing for a bit.
You know, I don't know if I've been at the service, but I think I'm so programmed to keep my partner in my mind when I'm thinking about something. It's like I mean, this is my third marriage.
These things I understand. Yes.
So it's something that's I've always done. But lately I've been getting the feeling that there needs to be a little bit more space. I have a wonderful marriage. I'm very blessed, knock on wood, very grateful. At the same time, what you're saying resonates with how I view myself in not necessarily always having the idea that my partner, it's like, what will she think? What will she think? It's not her, it's me. And it's how I program myself and how I've been programmed all my
I
life.
recognize this so much because I've had some talks with my husband recently, and what I discovered is that all the things that I thought he would think were what I thought, not what he thought.
Interesting.
And you're like, oh my God, all the wasted years or all the presumptions or all the mistaken ideas, and things like that. And so it's important to communicate with people. And then, and even if it does go against something that they're comfortable with, it shouldn't be such a thing that they would prevent you from doing something that you need to do because of their need or whatever. That's a little bizarro. So, assuming everything is healthy, then it should be good. And it's just a question of kind of expanding the definition of how you've been defining the relationship heretofore.
Deep.
Well, been there, done that, doing it, that kind of thing. Maybe it's in the air. Maybe it's part of what this current time is, that we're experiencing. So this is the kind of tarot flow idea, and that's that's how we entertain ourselves when we get together and do these things. And so I hope it's been fun for you. It's been a lot of fun for us to have you here. What other comments might you have as we think about this? I think our display went away, so we're going to
it did.
Reminisce a bit about this. But as an experience, would you recommend this to other people?
Definitely. I think you're both good, really good, and you complement each other. And I love your different perspectives. I love the cards and how you talk about them and actually visually how they are. I'm an artist, so visual is important. So yes, Allison, I think you have a wonderful show and a wonderful process. And now I'm going to take it. Hopefully I'll be able to see it and watch it again and really think about what you guys have been talking about.
Well, and may it be useful to you. And do you have a tarot deck of your own?
I do.
Okay. All right. So if you would like a Rider-Waite deck, which is the one that we demoed here, we would be happy to send one over to your house. So let me know your address and we'll send that little gifty over as a thank you for being here. And much appreciated. Tell your friends. We'd love to have people on the show. And then in the next couple of days, you'll let me know if you are comfortable with posting it.
I'm already comfortable. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much,
I
Simon.
was going to ask
So,
you when it would be posted.
if you want to plan a time, we can if you have a particular time you want to do it, I'll
No,
do
I
it
just
then.
want
Because
to
all
be
we have
able
to
to
do is
watch
program
it
it.
so I
Mhm.
can really, I want to give some more thought to what you guys have said. So whenever it can go up, then I'll be able to watch it again.
Yes, and I'll send you the link separately so you have it just as your own file,
Thank you.
not on a platform.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for being here, Simon Menkes. We appreciate you. Yay!
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank you
much.
both. Thank
And
you,
I'm going to
Allison.
just kind
Thank
of
you
bring us
both.
out with hopefully a little bit of music. Let me see if I can make it fade in, make it fade out. Let's see. Does it work? Does it work? Hey.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate you, Simon. We appreciate everybody and look forward to seeing everybody again soon on the Tarot Flow Show.